Tim Mars, aka Timmy two times, with me on Screwed the Pooch. What's up, my friend?
It's a cool name, man.
You like Screwed the Pooch?
Yeah, my dog's sitting right next to me right now.
Well, look at that. I hope you're not physically screwing it. It's not a bestiality podcast. I'm sorry if I've disappointed you.
Yeah, so
I
you
thought
got
we were
some
gonna get
good.
some dog action. I thought we was gonna get some dog action up in here. That's what that Screwed the Pooch is about.
Yeah, she's sleeping, so I'll let her be.
I do wish Hugh Hefner was still with us so I could interview him because he would have literal stories about Screwing the Pooch. So hey, you're doing Timmy two times now. It's a bar burger joint in Lexington, Kentucky. That's going well. You've been doing that for what, 3 years now?
Just a little over 2 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just had our 2 year just last month anniversary. Yeah, it's
Right.
great. Good fun, good customers, awesome.
You're
Before my Screw the Pooch story is actually like the first time I tried to get into retail and business.
okay.
I was
Okay.
doing stand up and I got a job at like one of those medical doctor recommend you for weed thing. Like when it was still medical, you had to go to like a doctor's office.
All right.
And which is just like the best business in the world if you're a doctor. You know, it's $100 piece of paper. And I just saw how much money was coming in. So I had a buddy of mine who wanted to be an investor. And so he put up like 50 grand. And to own the business together, it wasn't a loan. And so I was like in charge. I was so jazzed. And it did not get open. Long story short on that one.
Didn't even come to get open.
No, and I built all the like infrastructure. There's like a little vestibule where you could be buzzed in, and got all the display cases. And this guy from the city just came in and was like, "Nope." And my investor just got scared and was like,
"Oh wow,"
you know.
So what would you do? Do you not file the proper permits? What was it? Why did the city come in? What happened there?
Well, I mean, I learned a valuable lesson as far as now when I do projects like this. Golden rule is don't do anything cosmetic or aesthetic or build out until you know you've got permission from the government. That's well, whether it's it sounds like common sense, but it's not. Like, because a lot of people get the kid in the candy store syndrome, and they want to go to Home Depot and start building stuff, and it's like, have you checked with the government? You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It was actually serendipitous. It was like I feel horrible to this day about it. And the guy Ted, he was just so cool. He was like, I knew what I was getting into. It's risky, and but I just felt awful.
Yeah.
But it inspired me at that point. I was like, well, you know, I could do it again better, you know, and get it right, or get another bar or something like that. And so there was.
So did that happen because you owned a bar in LA? Did that happen in between selling the bar in LA and then opening the one in Kentucky?
It was before.
Okay.
It was still when marijuana was medical, so this is quite a while.
I got you.
This would have been probably 2008, something like that. Yeah, 2009. Wow. Yeah, it was wild. But to me, see, like, it's like I said, it's sort of bittersweet because I was like, wow, I was able to raise 50 grand in investment capital. Yeah. Even though I failed, I thought, well, you know, it was enlightening. You know?
Yeah. So then how did the step after that come to actually building a successful business as you did with the bar, then LA, that then parlayed into what you're doing now?
You know, I got real serious about stand up and put out an album. And then when I was finished with that project, I was like, I want to own a venue. And so I just started borrowing a lot less money, thinking about it differently. Like with the lesson that I learned is like, well, you got to ask the government anyway. There's no point in borrowing money or selling equity if I got a no answer.
Right.
You know?
So with
the government is so corrupt. They have this thing, it's called expedited processing. And so if you go and pull a permit to do just about anything, building and planning, building and zoning, all of it, they're like, well, it's going to take us a year to look at your application, but if you give us 10,000 more, it's called expedited processing. The health department does it. This is in LA.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's like paying the government to move faster, and it's just completely institutionalized. And
Yeah.
so you wonder why entrepreneurs leave. It's like, well, stuff like that. And then the people, the good intentioned people, they don't like gentrification. Well, I don't either. I own a little local burger joint. You know, I like local places, but it's who can pay the government easier, Starbucks or a mom and pop coffee shop. You know, it's like they're facilitating it.
Yeah. Well, but that's regardless of, and that's LA standards, you know, depending on where you happen to be. I think the key is check it all out, right? Check it all out.
Mhm.
What do you need to file? What do you need to plan? What do you need? Because the
Yeah.
last thing you want to do in anything is get that big surprise, like, oh, hey guys, sorry, we got to shut you down. Before you even
Yeah.
open.
And you spend all this money, you know, I diamond grinded the floor and put an epoxy coat on it. It looked really cool in there. I built all this stuff. I had to do some electrical, and then have a guy just come in there, you know, and say this isn't gonna work, and you know.
I built a big podcast company several years ago that launched in 2015. We lasted 2 years, and I remodeled an entire studio for the facilities myself and with friends, and then couldn't pay the lease. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's I've been there, man.
Yeah.
you know, that one wasn't regulation. It was just I put a lot of work, a lot of physical work into the fit up of that place, and built studios specifically for soundproofing and the things we were doing in the podcast world at the time, and ended up, yeah, couldn't make a dime.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take some risk, though. You know, and it's the projects that don't go as well as you wanted. Those are the ones. It's like life isn't about whether or not you're going to have failures. It's about how you react to them when you have them. You know,
How you
that's
handle them, yeah,
everybody's going to have setbacks and things that are going to like,
absolutely.
yeah,
And
that's what really defines you.
that's when character is revealed, right? When the tough is tough, and when the stuff is tough, if you keep your head up and you can keep that positive energy
Yeah.
and expectation, you know, just hey, what's coming next? I mean, we as entrepreneurs, Tim, I think you would attest to this. We're attuned to opportunity, right? We kind of have oh wow, you know, that'll get our interest. We're like, okay, could that be something that could be something? And you know, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And what I've discovered is, regardless of my experience, regardless of my planning, because I'm a planner, man. I cross T's, I dot I's, I cover bases, I try to make sure everything is done right. Regardless of that, uh, it's universal timing, in my opinion. And sometimes it's right, and sometimes it's wrong. And I don't care how much you think you can read the tea leaves, how much you think you can predict what's going to happen. You just don't know. And you know, you've built a great success with this burger joint. And I mean, what were your expectations? Have you exceeded
You know,
them? Have
kind
you?
of, I kind of achieved it, really, honestly. I did have a vision from the colors and the menu and the sort of attitude to the place. And so
Mm-hmm.
I did have a business strategy and plan going into it. And it's really nice to see people get it. The customers and regulars, they they understand it. It's like simple
Mm-hmm.
menu, you know, just makes
Yeah.
so yeah, but it's interesting because I had done the horseshoes project prior to it now being closed permanently,
Mm-hmm.
and I took over that, and then a few months later, COVID happened, and I had just moved into town, kind of getting my feet wet from California, and I was burned out from owning a bar. And there's also something about starting your own thing with Timmy Two Times or the Lexington in LA. Those are my own things. And Horseshoes was a brand that had a loyal following. It's been there for years. There's like
Yeah.
a
Oh yeah.
legacy to it, and which is great, you know. But it's like taking a plant that's already alive
Mm-hmm.
and giving it water as opposed to growing it from start, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got the idea for like the Timmy Two Times thing, with the, you know, the bartender cooks the food and they can make it, you know, one person can do it.
It reminds me of the old Saturday Night Live skit, cheeseburger, cheeseburger,
Cheeseburger.
Pepsi, Pepsi, right? Cheeseburger,
Yeah.
cheeseburger, Pepsi. I mean, it's that type of joint, man. It's amazing. And you only serve Pepsi, and essentially you only serve cheeseburgers.
And alcohol.
Well, and yeah, and booze, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah,
But
so So where do you hope this is? I mean, have you hit a point where you're like, okay, I'm getting in the groove and this thing is moving and now I can maybe look at expanding things. I mean, I know you've got other stuff going on, but I mean, is this restaurant thing something that you're thinking you're going to push further, or you're going to look more into real estate? Where do you see your future going?
It's a good question. It would kind of depend on what, what different people. If I had people that wanted to franchise and they had a good plan,
Hmm.
and a good
Hmm.
location or something like that and a budget, then it's something I'd be
So
open
it
to.
so basically it would have to, for you, it would need to be a partnership with somebody that's got something established that wants what you've
Yeah,
got to bring into that
or
mix.
just, and even if it's their first project, but that the desire to do it and make it work.
I got you. I got you.
But yeah, because
But it's
I don't plan on running like five of them myself right now.
right. Yeah.
I would franchise in the strictest sense of the model of, you know the person basically buys into it, their
Hmm.
own location.
Hmm. But that's something you've considered. You're thinking about
I
possibly
would
having.
if their situation seemed right.
Yeah. I mean, Timmy Two Times it's a neat concept from a greasy spoon kind
Hmm.
of diner pub that,
Hmm.
but it's a neighborhood watering hole. You know, I mean, you could
Yeah.
essentially put that in any strip mall and next to a decent subdivision. You got a business model. You know, I mean,
Yep.
it's repeat it, do the same thing. You know.
Hmm. And there's a good recipe there too. And people, there's like the Danger Dog and the Smurf
Hmm.
Burger and stuff.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's other models out there that could work. Absolutely. Well, Tim, thanks for sharing, man. I really
yeah,
appreciate
thanks for
you
having me
being a
on.
part of this. Now, what about comedy, real quick? So, if you got anything out there that we should check out? Got any things that we should
Yeah,
search
I've always
for?
got the music video Fancy. I always like people to watch that.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Um,
What
yeah.
about that album that you mentioned? Is that available still? Can you get it on
That's on
Spotify?
all streaming devices, iTunes and wherever, Spotify.
So it's
Yeah.
like a full 45 minutes hour comedy.
Yeah, it's called Hello, It's the Martian.
Hello, it's The Martian.
Yeah, that's the name of
Okay,
it.
I have to check this out. I don't know that I know this material. Awesome, brother.
All right, man.
As
Well, see
always,
you
thank you
soon.
so much. I appreciate your time.